Welcome to Spit Bucket. This week we're here, Alister Purbrick from Chateau Tahbilk. Now, welcome to Spit Bucket first of all, Alister.
Thank you.
You're 151 years young.
Yeah, well, a lot of people say I hardly look my age, but I'm glad about that. No, we had a great year last year, celebrating our 150th anniversary.
Yep.
Part of that celebration also was the fact that my daughter joined the company. So we've now got 5 generations of Purbricks who have invested in Tahbilk, and hopefully there'll be many more generations to come.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's all going well down there. The old cellars are still, they're, what do you call it? The trust listed...
National Trust.
National Trust,
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I knew it was something technical. But anyway, look, you've got some of the oldest vines in Australia.
We have.
Marsanne and Shiraz, and they're your 2 key varieties, obviously.
Yes.
Your Marsannes are interesting because you've got I don't know whether I'm allowed to call them standard Marsanne, but you've also got this one, the 1927 vines.
Right.
Can you tell us about that wine?
Yeah, well, the 1927 vines is a single vineyard wine, so they were planted in 1927. It was actually the first vines that my grandfather planted when our family took ownership of the property. So his father purchased the property.
Okay.
Why he planted Marsanne, I don't know, but thank goodness he did, because it's been a variety that we've been able to really work well with. It does so well in our region, in the Ngambie Lakes region, and in the style that we make it as a fresh, unwooded white wine. I think it really covers a lot of food dishes and makes life a little bit more interesting for those wine consumers around the world.
Well, I think every wine consumer, certainly in Australia, if they hear the word Marsanne, immediately think of Tahbilk.
Yeah.
So, because you've dropped the Chateau, haven't you?
We dropped the Chateau.
I've
in
got to
the
get used
new
to
millennium, in the year
That's
2000.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to get used to it eventually.
But it's interesting though, because the original name wasn't Chateau Tahbilk. That was introduced some 20 years after we were established.
Okay.
So the original name was actually Tahbilk Vineyard or Tahbilk Estate. So we've actually gone back to the original.
Okay. I'll get used to it in the next...
A lot of people still say Chateau Tahbilk.
Of course I've had it. We better have a quick look, hadn't we?
Okay.
One of the things I find fascinating about this wine, well, not only, you're about to release the 2002, so you've almost given it 10 years.
Yeah.
But you don't release one unless it's won a trophy.
That's right. That's right.
Is that a risk? Not yet.
Well, is it a risk? It's been winning trophies. So it hasn't been an issue so far.
Yeah.
But we make this wine quite differently to our standard Marsanne.
Yep.
In that we're picking it earlier, we're getting much higher acid levels, and we're making it in a more oxidative fashion. What that means is that when we've made it, it's not got a lot of fruit flavour. So it's a classic ugly duckling turning into a beautiful swan type story. So when it's very young, you couldn't drink it really. It's like almost like acid and water. And then in the bottle, it starts to develop, and at about 7 or 8 years of age is when it starts to really blossom, and that's when they start winning trophies, and then it allows us to get it onto the market. But the reason we've made the wine like this is because we wanted to have a white wine out of Tahbilk, and of course it had to be Marsanne, which was going to be at its best as a 30, 40 or 50-year-old wine. So it's something that we've done, I think, for future generations of family, so that they can have a bit of fun with it when they're tasting older red wines from the winery.
It's incredibly fresh now, and the advent of screw cap, which you're saying goes in next year, the 03 will be under screw cap.
That's right.
They should sail through 50 years, shouldn't they? Not that we might know, but...
Yeah, well, that's right. It's not going to be a problem for either of us, but we can make that assumption.
Indeed, yeah.
But we've made it very much in the style of the Hunter Semillons from the 60s and 70s. And those wines now, if you can buy them, are just absolutely magnificent. They're gorgeous wines.
It just comes down to the cork.
Indeed.
If you get a good cork, you've got a fantastic wine, and that shouldn't be a problem from now on.
So it is certainly restrained, but there's real minerality in there. There's just the development of the toast and honey coming through, but it's very restrained.
And florals, and beautiful wine. Very exciting wine. We better move now to...
So this is the 2006, what we call ESP, Eric Stevens Purbrick Shiraz. This lineage has been around for a little while. It used to be called the Bin Series, then became Reserve. In 2002 it became the ESP, or Eric Stevens Purbrick. This wine is dominantly off a 1933 planted vineyard, and again for us it's about power but with elegance. It's letting the fruit make the expression, hopefully lots of spice, a bit of pepper and savoury notes around it, but with elegance, so softness, but it's the fruit. The fruit's the hero, and playing a supporting role is a little bit of new oak and some tannins, but it's really a showcase of the fruit.
What gets me about this is the fragrances that come out. It's got just so much that keeps coming out.
Yeah. I think the other interesting thing about any fruit-driven red wines, not just Tahbilk, is that because they're fruit-driven, as they get more air into the glass, they actually evolve and different fruit flavours come to bear. And so to me that makes the drinking of them really interesting, particularly when you match it with food, because from the first glass running through to the finishing the bottle, you're going to have this change and this interesting difference of flavours coming through.
That's 06, which is about to be released.
That's about to be released as well.
It's still as fresh and youthful as you could hope. I should ask you while I've got you.
And it's screw cap.
It is screw cap, so no problems there. Recommended retail on these two?
Recommended retail on the 1927 Vines Marsanne is around $40 to $45, and recommended retail on the ESP Shiraz is about $65, something of that order.
If you go back to this one for a moment, you're talking one of the great examples of that grape on the planet, but in all reality, and it's $30, $40. Try that with Chardonnay. Or pretty much anything else. That's extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly one of the ethoses that's been passed down from generation to generation, starting from grandfather, is no matter what your price point, the wine must represent value for money. So that's the ethos. So we think at $45 for the Marsanne, at $65 odd for the Shiraz, against their peer group, I think they do represent fantastic value for money.
Is there anyone else doing anything like this in Australia with Marsanne? There's no one I can think of.
Not with Marsanne.
No?
No.
You could have charged anything and said, hey, it's in the peer group.
I'll have to bear that one in mind.
I want a commission. Alister, thank you so much for coming on Spit Bucket.
Okay, my pleasure.
Great pleasure as always. Cheers. Remember, we spit so you don't have to.